Alright, we're back in War Thunder. I thought we play a little bit around Malta in 1941, I believe it is. And I went through the aircraft available. I mean, here we have a head-to-head combat patrol with Fury Mark 1. Fury Mark 1 are interwar double-decker aircraft with 2 rifle caliber guns. I'm not going to do that. I mean, as much as I love the Gladiator, for example, or the Falco of the Regia Aeronautica of Italy, that's not what I'm looking for here. We also could take a Spitfire Mark VC Trop, which is the tropical version, which had a huge air filter. Well, a sand filter basically, to prevent sand getting into the turbocharger, I think. But I'd rather go either for the Sea Hurricane Mark 1C, which is armed with 4 20mm cannons, but we're going to ground pound with the Hurricane Mark IV, a much less known aircraft. The Hurricane Mark IV is armed with, I believe, 2 rifle caliber MGs and 2 40mm Vickers S cannon. But it doesn't look like they were armed that way. Because it's supposed to have huge cannons under the wings. I feel slightly cheated. Yes, they removed the cannons and gave it rockets. Oh, I wanted to showcase the 40mm Vickers though. Well, my fancier lemons. That's just what you have to deal with. Options. Sound. Yeah, we want to hear the roar. Okay, let's a little bit more of the engine sounds. We don't want to hear me buffering around. We want to hear the Merlins. So you're telling me now I need to destroy ground targets with my 2 rifle caliber guns. Because I can't aim for shit with my rockets. Well, I'm glad I did something. Okay, that's my tank. Now I'm going to do artillery. Yeah, I'm not going to trying to intercept fighters with, you know, the same armament I refused to take on in the Fury. You see, we only have 2 7.7mm guns. That's leading nowhere. SKA after this, so it's a good idea. Hurricane Nest columns, nice. Worst possible time, I didn't pay attention, otherwise I didn't have time for the reload. I don't know whether the tank is light enough that I can damage it with key shooters. No, I can't. I can reload it faster. Some trees. Did I mention that my aim with rockets is even worse than the one with my guns? Just doing 10 seconds. Okay, turn back. Where? I wasn't shot down by an AA. I was shot down by a tree. Can be wrecked straight. These are 3-pound rockets. here? There it is. It's not kidding. Could have set myself 2 airplanes. Well, it is what it is, I suppose. Ah, where's the rendezvous point? Over there. Now I have to run the gauntlet. We fly faster than the flaps are. Doesn't look good, I don't have any friends anymore. I ran out of friends. For emergency power as well. Just hoping the rendezvous point is final destination. Otherwise I'm cooked. Because even though the Heinkel 112 did not go into mass production, not because she was a bad aircraft, but because the Oberkommando deemed it was more important that Heinkel focused on the construction of bombers than fighters. The Heinkel 112 was a superior aircraft to the Bf 109. However, it was deemed that the Bf 109 had more potential for improvement, and that basically the HE 112 was at its peak. It couldn't get much better. Whereas we all know that the Bf 109 was produced throughout World War II in a gazillion versions, and I think it was the second most produced aircraft in World War II, second only to the Ilyushin II of the Soviet Union, which was a ground attack airplane. So it was the most produced fighter aircraft in World War II, and therefore in history, basically. There were disadvantages with the Bf 109. One of them was because of logistic reasons, to fit the airframe onto railway trailers, wagons, coaches, whatever. They had to be narrow. They stood on their landing gear, and the width of the landing gear was quite narrow, which made her a bastard to maneuver on the ground, especially if you had unfortified field airstrips, you know, where you land and start on a meadow, basically, if you're lucky on a relatively flat one, which made it difficult to handle with a narrow width of the gear. Another thing was that the cockpit was almost claustrophobic in its dimensions. Yeah, you basically scraped your knuckles when you pulled the lever. So yeah, it was not easy to get out if you needed to, especially because you didn't have these cabin roofs you could push back. You had to lift it with enough drag and airflow. It's almost impossible to do. So that were some of the disadvantages. The advantage was, of course, it had a powerful engine. It was quite nimble, even though the Spitfire was a little bit more nimble. But the BF-109 could pull negative G's without starving the engine. The Germans then also developed water methanol injection for higher performance in high altitude. She had from the beginning a 20mm cannon through the propeller hub, and she had heavy MGs as on the nose. That was one advantage I see above both British aircraft, the Hurricane as well as the Spitfire. The Spitfire and the Hurricane had their armament in the wings, whereas the German aircraft, at least at the beginning of the war, had or the BF-109 at least, had their firepower centered on the fuselage. So which meant that you had less of a spread of your shots, which could be an advantage or disadvantage. I leave that, that's situational, but you didn't have to adjust for convergence. All right, especially if you were fighting fighters. You didn't have to adjust for convergence because you had a small target, and basically where you looked at, this is where you aimed at, roughly speaking. Whereas with the Spitfire, you had to select the conversion point or the convergence, which could be 100 yards away from the aircraft, 300, 400, whatever your fancy. And beyond that, you cross the streams basically, right? And if you try to shoot down bombers, that might still work because it's a big target. So if you aim at the left wing and you hit the right wing, it's probably not much of a difference. Whereas with the same convergence, you probably can miss the whole entire fighter aircraft if the distance is wrong. So that was another challenge that the British fighter pilots had to face because of the placement of the armament. So Spitfire Mark IIB, Gladiator Mark I, a Tippy. No, this time we go for dogfighting with the VC. Which had 4, yes, I was one of the first one with 4 20mm cannons. Isn't she a beauty? They come with double deck. No, these are bombers, aren't they? I wonder if that's Falco. No, it's not even Falcos, that's the other one. That's the CR-32, not the 42. Oh, poor bastards. Yeah, CR-32, they're armed with two 12.7mm machine guns. And they have about a Vmax of 400 kilometers per hour, which is about 200 knots. 210 knots. That's my cruise speed. But being double deckers, they're nimble. still airborne. Don't want to land. Actually, that's seal problem, isn't it? Rounds left, I think, of the nav attack. I need to kill. Yeah, I can recover from that. And by the way, the Italian ammunition for the 12.7mm guns is abysmal. Like very bad ballistic characteristics. So they dropped quickly. You have a lot of penetration. So it was difficult. They made it more difficult for the Italian pilots than we would have done. So they're probably worse than the British 7.7mm. Sad as it sounds, because you couldn't hit shit. And they still had limited ammo. I think they had about 200 rounds per gun. Maybe 250. And if you have to lead half a mile to hit your target, bullets are almost spent when you get there. Unless you go to point blank, which poses a lot of other problems. You have a disadvantage against your adversaries. Luckily Malta has his turbo arms loaded. It's good for us, we can conserve ammunition because we don't take many hits to kill. It's almost, it almost feels sorry for the aggressor. Yeah, you don't want to get in a dogfight. You fucking kidding me? Oh no, he goes into the spin. Yep. Pay attention to our own. It's blue. There is no. Yeah, that was seal clogging. Alright, so this is not even the best Italian double-decker. They still have it service. And it goes against a kind of second generation Spitfire with 20mm rounds. with an improved engine. It's just not fair. But you don't want to get unfair. Unfortunately, it doesn't say how many kills we have. You see, this battle rank is 5.7, and this one is maybe 2.3 or something like that. It's nowhere near fair. Nimrod, another double-decker. No. Hurricane Mark 1. Hurricane Mark 3. Can I get the cannons this time? Because I would really like to show the cannons. I don't. Oh, yes, I do. See, this is all the 40mm cannons. I haven't seen the gun pods because I thought they were bigger. Because if you look at the Stuka, when they had the 37mm cannons, they were humongous. MGs only. If I press 1, I only buy the MGs. I have 30 rounds, 15 rounds per cannon. What kind of... is it belt fed? What is it? Because the Gem 1 has like a side fed. With a strip, what do you call it? German called Stangenmagazin. Yeah, magazine on the side, a side-mounted magazine, let's put it down. So what do we need to kill? So the AA over there, this vehicle, that vehicle. Let's see, 200. Okay, that's not a bad aircraft. About that. Oh, fuck. I was stupid. Oh, it was not shut down. It was pilot error. Severe wind. I knew it. It's a 20mm field. That was satisfying. So we need to destroy 4 vehicles. I guess it's the blinking ones over there. Kilometers out. That's alright. I'm interested in that. So the anchor. That was bad. A bit too low, mate. That's una valetta. Apparently I hit better. See the conversions at work. This is one minute. But target destroyed. True. Yeah, a little bit reckless with the poor Hurricanes. I was once in a match with young players who one guy just overshot, didn't hit me, overshot, and just ran in front of my 40mm cannons, and I was lucky enough to hit him and he just disintegrated. I didn't shoot him down, he just disintegrated. That was glorious to witness. So next, Spitfire Mark 2B, yeah, V5 drop, Tippy. Destroy enemy with Spitfires. Oh no, I'd rather take this one. So this should be 2 and 4, two 20mm guns and 4 7.7s. And with the big cooler underneath the nose, which is the air filter I spoke about earlier, to make sure you don't get sand in your engine, because these were the Spitfires fitted for deployment in air fabric. Let me go inside. And she's almost ugly with that big thing under its nose. She looks a little bit like a P40. Just a wee bit. And I've only 60 rounds per cannon. That's not much. What we'll have to do. EF1 and 9 would be my guess, but I've looked here. We already copied the German formation because the British formation was 3 airplanes. The leader in the front, one of the starboard beam, one of the larboard beam, like a triangle. Whereas the Germans had so-called Rotten, always two pairs, and one above and behind the other pair, so that they could protect each other. And the British had to learn the hard way that this is more appropriate than tight formations. with 3. with 3 flights. Or a flight out of 3. Then the Germans had the advantage that they already fought in modern aircraft during the Spanish with the Legion Condor in Spain during the mid-30s, I think 36 to 39 or something like that. So they gathered valuable information on tactics and deployment and best use of the weapons at their disposal. The most notorious probably being Guernica, where the German Luftwaffe bombed the sleepy town into oblivion with the famous picture of Pablo Picasso reminding us of that horrific event. It looks like we have a height advantage with C-200s. These are also monoplanes, but they were not as good as they could have been. And the reason for it being ridiculous, if I recall correctly, being the pilots. Because Macchi, which built these aircraft, they designed them with a closed cockpit, much like the Spitfire has. But the Italian pilots were very conservative and they preferred to have an open cockpit. It's also aerodynamically, it's not as clean as the Spitfire, because they have a radial engine, and it looks like it was put in like as an afterthought. It's not very clean in the lines. It stands out like a sort of fun. Look at it, if my recollection is correct about this aircraft. Opening fire at a distance of only 1 kilometer. Risking hitting some extenders. Yeah, I think you will recover from that already. Not with my camera. Respect. Also, cannons, the early Spitfires, they had a tendency of jamming, which is not use, of course, during a dogfight. You have limited ammunition to start with, and then shutdowns just go silent. Oh. But agile. I had combat flaps, which is a bit hard to not reject me with again. It's bad if you have asymmetrical flap extension, which in this case means my left flap is gone. If I deploy the right one, it will rip it off, which will make landing bastard. Really, oh, 100 knots. So, there's that. Already suffered. Finita. Let's rearm while we're at it. Not much left of the MGs. The cannons are half depleted, or 2/3 depleted even. Are we supposed to go? I'm not going to catch them. I'm going to risk our shiny aircraft. Let's see. Doesn't look like much of a damage, to be honest. Here we have some bullet holes on the wing. On both wings, actually. Okay. Yeah. Oh no, these are there. I wonder that the 20 mil on the left wing was not damaged, to be honest. Are we there yet? Looks like our cannon was damaged, but on the starboard beam. On the left blueprint. Take the next mission. Hellcats or Bearcats. Ah, we've won the campaign. Night Avenue has lost 1,000 aircraft. Well, it's not only from our own, it's just convoluted. Alright, I think we end it here. It was a nice little campaign. Hope you enjoyed it, and see you next time. Bye.